Hello my friends, it's the Game Boy Geek here. Today we are going to the pyramids, to Egypt, to those hot deserts. Today we're going to be trying to gain the favor of the Pharaoh. It's a brand new game out by Bezier Games, designed by Tom Lehman. This is a re-implementation of an older game called To Court the King. This is a dice pool building and dice manipulation game where you're rolling dice and trying to get the favor of the Pharaoh. Let me show you how it's played. It's for 2 to 4 players. I'll see you on the other side. I don't normally show inserts, but this is a very nice insert that allows you to take all the tiles, which do need to be in a specific order to set up, in here. And then also below this, there's a cool picture. That's just a nice touch that when you're looking through the insert, you have a nice picture to look through. Good job, Bezier Games. In favor of the Pharaoh, you're going to be rolling a certain amount of dice per turn and manipulating those dice and getting tiles that give you more special abilities to add dice and manipulate dice, all the way till you get up to the 7th level where you're trying to get favor of the Queen, and then finally you will get the favor of the Pharaoh on the final roll-off. Now, this is a pretty randomized setup. This is actually the beginner setup here. I'll show you more about that at the end. Let's talk about how a turn works. At the start of the game, at the start of my turn, I get to take 3 standard dice, which are the red ones. So that's just 3 standard dice, and I'll roll them. I have 2, 2, and 3. Now, if I want to, at any time, I have to lock in at least 1 die per turn, per roll, but I can lock in as many as I want. So let's talk about what I want here. This tells me that if I get 3 of a kind, I can get this tile, which is a worker. Now this row here always has as many tiles as players. So in this case, we're playing with 2 players. There's 2 tiles of each type here. You can only have 1 of each tile, exact tile. I can't have more than 1 worker, for example. So if I get 3 of a kind, I can get the worker. If I have 1 pair, I can get the farmer. If I have all even, I can get the servant. And if I have, if they add up to 10 plus, I can get the omen. So what do I want to go for here? Well, I've already got a pair. So I can lock both of these in and know that I've locked, now you have to lock in at least 1, but you can lock in as many as you want. I've locked in 2. I know I'm going to get that pair, but I might as well try and roll this to try to get 3 of a kind. Okay, I did not get it. This one has to get locked in. I have a 5, 2, and 2. The best thing I could probably get is this pair. So I would take this, put it in front of me. This just basically means I'm getting an extra die at the beginning of every turn now, and then it would be the next player's turn. Let's say it came back to our turn again. Now I've got these 4 dice. Let's roll them. Well, I've got 2, 3, 3, 4. Okay, so I could do 2 things. I could lock the I could go for the 3 of a kind, I could go for all evens. I have 4 dice now, so actually, I could actually go up to this next level, which is level 4. 4 of a kind, and I could get a special die. I'll tell you what this does later. 1, 2, 3, 4. Any straight with 4 in a row could get me a builder, could get me another special die. I'll tell you what this does later. 2 pairs would allow me, so anything that's orange type tile usually gets you more dice. Anything in the blue allows you to manipulate dice, and anything in the red are typically very powerful one-time use abilities in the game. Ooh, so 2 pairs. I've already got 1 pair. Let's try to go for 2 pairs. So I will lock in my 2 3s here, and I'll roll these 2. Ooh, I got a 3. I'll lock it in, and I will roll this. Oh, I didn't get it. But I did get 3 pair. So if I want, I can still get this one here, 3 of a kind. Boom, so now I got a worker. What this allows me to do, and that would be the end of my turn. So now let's say the other person has already gone and it's my turn again. So I have this. And I've got, this allows me to, so I have 1, 2, 3, 4 dice. Plus, this allows me to bring a 1 in at any time during my roll. So, ooh, 6, 6, 6. So I'm gonna definitely put the 3 6s there and lock those in. And now what I can do is I can bring this 1 in. I'm not going to use it as a 1, but once I brought it in, I can then re-roll it, right? So now I'm going to re-roll these dice. A 2 and a 1. Oof. Okay, so let's go with the 2, because that might get me all even if I want. And then a 6. Ooh, I've got 4. This was a 6. I have 4 of a kind, so I can pull this and get that. This gives me this dice. This die's cool. It's a special die. What happens is if I roll it here, if I get that, I can change the face of any other die. So you can see how you're sort of working your way up, rolling dice multiple times, working your way up the pyramid until you get all the way to the top. Let's talk about what happens there. So let's say I got 7 of a kind. I get the queen and the Pharaoh token, and we go to a final roll off. And I got 7 of a kind. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 5. So I would say I have 7 5s. This would begin the end of the game. Now let's say assume I was the start player. Everybody else that has not gotten a turn this round, and it would be everybody else because I'm the start player, would get one of these, and this would give them 1 extra die to try to sort of catch up on this last mechanism. And they would have to try to beat 7 5s. They would either have to get 7 6s or 8 anything. And then someone would have to beat them and beat them. And then it finally comes, if someone did beat me, let's say someone got 7 6s, okay? Someone got that. When it comes back to me, I have the last shot of the game because I have the queen. Now the queen, now this would have been given to somebody else. Whoever had beat me now has the Pharaoh, the favor of the Pharaoh. And because I had the queen tile, that allows me to bring in a die after any roll and put it as anything, and I have to beat 7 6s. So here are my dice that I have normally, and I would roll these, and I'm trying to get 7 6, beat 7 6s. I need 8 of anything. I don't have a whole lot of manipulation, but I do have a lot of dice. So this one actually gets locked right away because it's an automatic immediate lock. Let's see, I have nothing else. I have nothing, so I'll roll these. Ooh, lots of good 5s. 5, 5, 5, 5. That looked good so far. Now I'm going to bring in my queen die as a 5 and lock that in as well. Now that I know that. Actually, I'll wait. I'm gonna keep going. I'll bring that in when I can't lock a 5 in. Ooh, so I'll lock that 5 in. Okay, so now that I don't have anything, I'll bring in this queen die and lock it in as a 5. So I have 7. So all I gotta do is get 1. Actually, I gotta get 2 more because they got 7 6s. Okay, boom. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 5s, and I would have just won the game and won the favor of the Pharaoh. Now let me show you what some of these other tiles do. If you get this one, you automatically get one of these white dice. These white dice, as soon as you roll them the first time, they automatically get locked in right away. So it's an extra die, but you're just getting what it is. It can never get re-rolled. You're also getting one of these tokens. These tokens typically do one of 2 things. You can add a pip to any die, or you can change a die to any face. Now you may get a lot of these over the course of the game, and you can use as many as you want whenever you want, so you can like combo a bunch of them together. The Entertainer's cool. You can take any amount of dice and flip them to the other side. So I could take any 6, make it a 1, any 1, make it a 6, and vice versa. As many dice as you want, you can flip. Pretty cool. This one allows you to add 1, 2, or 3 pips to any 1 die. So all the blue stuff's really cool about manipulating. This one allows you to take a turn immediately after, but with 1 fewer die. But these are all one-time use, so once you use them, they'll be out. Now when you take these, you'll get 2 of these tokens as well, with all of the red row there, the red column. Place key, you get 2. You know what? You'd flip it over, but you'd get 2 dice there. The Master Artisan, essentially you can make any die, any face. This one, you'll get 2 when you take it, and then when you flip it over, you'll get 5 more of those tokens. That's really powerful to manipulate a lot of things. Now some of these, this one allows you to bring a die in as a 6 after your first row at any point in time. This one gives you a red and a white dice, 2 red dice. This one allows you to take any active dice and split it into 2 white dice, which then get locked in, and the sum of those have to equal what this die was. Pretty cool. This one allows you to divide all your dice into 2 groups, and then from those groups you get to buy a orange and a blue tile. So essentially, usually you can only buy 1 tile on your turn. This allows you to buy this, and then you can actually get 2 more if you played your dice right. This one allows you to claim any blue or yellow tile that's less than 6. So anything less than this 6th row, you can take any one of those. This allows you 1 or 2 pips to any die. So those are some of the different ones. Now keep in mind, all of these say A, because this is the sort of the easier side. All of these can flip over too. So this goes to a B, and this goes to a B. And now, instead of needing 3 pairs, you need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Instead of needing 4 of a kind and 3 ones, you need 3 of a kind and 2 pairs. Instead of needing a pair and 5 of a kind, you need 3 of a kind and 4 of a kind. So usually the B side is harder. Instead of having, you need 45 instead of 40 points. You need 35 instead of 30 points. Instead of a pair and 4 of a kind, 2 and 3 of a kind. So you can mix and match all of these. Now this is the Android app that allows you to select the different rows and people. Now this is the default, the one that I had showed you before. But if you come down here, you just click shuffle and it shuffles everything. So this is now a B, and it has all different people. B row, ooh, B row, A row. So it just randomizes all the things on the top and all the tiles. And you could just, if you don't like that one, you can shuffle it again. Look at that. It just shuffles it nice and quick. It saves you a lot of time in setup of picking which things to do. So you can just keep and shuffle as much as you want, and then you can click each one, and then it just kind of goes like that. So that's the app. Now there's a little book that comes with this. It's quite gorgeous, and it has every tile in the game. It has it by level, so level 7 tiles on the top right, level 6 tiles. It goes through every tile and in detail tells you what each of these do, and this is really useful when you're learning the game, because if you're ever wondering what a tile does, this shows you what they all do, and this is a nice little book to show everybody what all the tiles do. All right, there's Favor of the Pharaoh. I've been really interested in this one since the minute it was announced way earlier this year, because I typically like dice chucking games, dice manipulation games. The artwork in this game is great, the production values are great, the insert is great, the box feels great, all the components, the dice are all awesome in this. Now going into this, I had super high expectations because, you know, Ted at Busy Games, he typically puts out really good products. Some of my favorite games are ones that he's worked on or developed or designed. Tom Lehman, the designer of this, has also done some great things with a lot of games, including some of the Pandemic expansions and things like that. So for me, I had a ton of hype for me going into this game. And so if you like dice manipulation games, this is one that you're probably going to like because it is fun to figure out which path to go, right? You've got the path of those orange tiles where you can roll the dice and you're trying to just gain more dice throughout the game. Or you can kind of go down those blue paths to be able to manipulate your dice. Or of course you can go down those red paths, get those tokens, get those one-time special uses and things like that. Now I will say that for me, the game was most enjoyable with 2 players. And because, you know, there is a staggered setup. So now depending on the amount of players, you'll have a different amount of tiles at each level. And so some of the tiles become quite hard to get. If someone grabs one, some of the upper levels, they're gone, right? There's only one of many of those. Especially in the 2-player games, this is the first row is the only row that you have multiple tiles on. And so trying to go for those is kind of interesting. What are they doing? What am I gonna do? What should I plan for? Now, this is one of those games where the reason why I like it best with 2 is because there's not as much downtime. I roll my dice, I roll them a bunch of times, I get my turn, next person's turn, I watch him go, and it's my turn again. With a 4-player game, it's like you've got 3 other turns of watching people roll dice before, and you can't necessarily always plan on what you're gonna do because again, a lot of those rows, the tiles will be gone by the time you get there, and so it's not like you can sit there and formulate a plan because A, the board's going to change a lot possibly by the time it comes back to you, and B, it's really going to be determined by what you roll. So this is one of those games where you're going to roll, you're going to see the new board, you're going to roll, and then you're going to decide what to do. And if you have AP, or one of your group members have AP, this is going to be a game that might drive you crazy with them because if you have a lot of dice and there's a lot of areas to go up, it can be a little overwhelming to go, oh my gosh, well let's see, this, should I go after this one? Well, I can manipulate this and do this. And sometimes you could stare at this and go crazy. I don't do it, no one in my group does it, but this is a game that could happen to you. If you're prone to it, it can happen. So for me, I like the lower player count because of that. Now with the lower player count, it only takes like 20 to 25 minutes to play a game, even if you flip all the things to the B, the harder side. That's another cool thing about this game is the setup. So there's a positive and negative setup. The setup is positive because, gosh, there are so many different combinations. You could play this a ton of times and never have like the same exact combination of tiles and what you need ever. Because there's so many things in there. And that's awesome. The downside to that is the setup time. I mean, even with that nice insert, you've got these tiles all laid out right in the right things, and you know, you're rolling the dice and you're doing it up. Or even if you're using the app that's there and you just use it really quickly, you still have to go shuffle through, and even if they're lined up nicely, it can still take about 7 to 9 minutes to set this game up. So if you're running long, if it's close to 10 minutes to set up a game that takes 20 to 25 to play, it's almost like you want to play it again right away, but then you don't want to play the same exact game again, so then you want to do a new setup, and so it kind of, yeah. So this is one of the problems I have with the game is for a game that I like best with 2, it takes almost half as much time to set it up and put it away together than it does to play the game. So for me, that's a problem. Now that goes down differently when you play with 4 players because then the game takes longer. Of course, you're just having about the same amount of moves. So for me, the setup time is a little long. But overall, it's a fun game. It's not one that, again, I had huge, high expectations for this game, right? So with that being said, it didn't blow my socks off the way I hope it was going to, but it is a fine game. It's a well-designed game. It's fun. If you like dice manipulation and you like the, great components and great artwork and getting into it, and you want to have those moments where you get to the queen, someone rolls it, gets the Pharaoh, and you have this stand-up moment where everyone's standing around the table trying to beat him, and then the person with the Pharaoh gets his last chance, and everyone jumps up and screams. If you like those on your edge at the end, everyone's yelling and screaming over die rolls, this game will deliver that to you in spades. It's what it's really designed to do, and that part is the most fun of the game. And then navigating how you're going to get there and adapting each time it comes to you tactically. Not a lot of strategy long term here because the board changes so much, but tactically there's a lot of good decisions to make. Overall, so it's a good game. It's just I had huge hope for it, and the setup time's a little long. That's the only negative. Other than that, it's a fine dice rolling manipulation game. That's favor of the Pharaoh.